So if you thought something was happening, you're wrong. Oof, what a relief. And when you really stay with that and let it wash through all of time, nothing is happening now, nothing has ever happened before, nothing will be happening to come. Talk about a load off. That's a relief. It's a big relief. Because to think that something is happening, something has happened, something will happen. Wow, there's a lot there. There's a lot of stress there, a lot to worry about, a lot to think about, a lot to wonder about. Wow, now it's all out the window. We don't have to think about anything. We don't have to be afraid of anything. We don't have to wonder about anything. Really. So you just take your long list of things that you've been worrying about, things you've been wondering about, just cross them all out. Like, what's left on my list? I don't have anything on my list anymore. Hmm. Well, what are you going to do now? Just be in the love of the moment. Oh, how's that sound? Just watch how the mind wants to have a problem. Oh, but I really have a problem. This thing I've been worrying about for a long time. I definitely have this problem. Okay, if you say so. But do you want to say so? I don't know. This is a question, right? This is the question to ask. Do you want to say that you have a problem? And if you do, that's your problem. That is your problem. I have a problem kind of problem. Hi, my name is Barrett. I'm addicted to problems. Hi, Barrett. Okay, well, there we go. This is the problemaholics meeting. I call it to order. But the good news is that we know we have a problem and thinking we have a problem. That's a good forward step. That means that we want to release it. We want to change our mind about these problems in our mind, the belief that there are problems. I mean, it's kind of silly when we really see what's going on. I have a problem with believing that I have problems. Okay. No wonder Jesus calls us insane, right? He's just sort of like, yeah, those guys. I'm going to lay it out to them really plainly. They can't miss it. Your only problem is the belief that you're separate from your creator. Okay. But that never happened. Okay. I believe I have a problem that does not exist. Yes. Yes, that is your only problem. Oh my gosh. I sometimes quote that Shakespeare play, Much Ado About Nothing. Here we are, much ado about nothing. It's all much ado about nothing. But it's good that we're starting to catch on. We're starting to catch on to that. That's what's happening. All of our problems, all of our worries, our long list of issues, our calendar full of things that have happened that some of them were okay and some of them were kind of bad. All of that is much ado about nothing. We can really see that we're an addict to problems, to believing in problems. This is this is the problem. It's a messed up way of thinking. But you're not guilty for having done this. You've just been in error. Jesus very clearly makes a distinction between sin and error, right? The ego loves the idea of sin. Sin is something bad that's happened, and we can't ever fix it, so we just have to feel bad about it, probably for the rest of eternity. Jesus says, no, no, it was just an error. It was just a mistake. And what does a mistake call for? It just calls to be corrected. Okay, that seems gentler. Then maybe I'm not some guilty bastard, you know? Maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm not irredeemable. Maybe there is actually hope of healing. Because if all that's asked for is a simple, gentle correction, a simple remembering of what has never actually changed, oh, maybe that's possible. And it's not actually just maybe, it is definitely possible. It's not just possible, it is inevitable. It is certain. Jesus doesn't waver on this topic. He doesn't say, like, well, maybe you'll remember the truth of what you are. Oh. No, he basically says it's impossible for you not to know the truth of what you are because it is what you are. You cannot be broken because you are whole. You've always been whole. Wholeness is the essence of your very being. We just bought some eggs at the store today. Got back home and this big box of eggs. A whole bunch of them were broken. Well, you know, eggs can break, but the truth of what you are cannot. The truth of what you are cannot break. It hasn't broken, it will not break. It's impossible to break. You know, there's a story of the famous man who was an egg, Humpty Dumpty, fell off a wall and broke himself in all these pieces. Well, he never fell off a wall. He never broke. Not in truth. The truth cannot break. Brokenness itself is not possible. It can be believed, but it's not actually possible. So what does that mean? It means we're believing in something that's not real. Well, what is that? It's like a dream, right? In a dream, we often believe it's really happening, but it's not. It's never happened. It cannot happen. Sometimes we wake up from a dream and say, oh, that was definitely a dream because that was impossible. What happened in the dream cannot possibly happen. Sometimes it's even like people will say things like, I was in this place, but I was also in this other place. It's not possible. So I knew it was a dream. When I woke up, I was like, that didn't really happen because that's not possible. Well, that's what this whole experience here is. As we wake up, we start to really get this is not possible. It is not possible that what seems to be going on here is really going on. It's not. So again, let's bring it back to your experience. What does this mean? It means that that bad thing that you're sure has happened to you didn't. It didn't really happen. Those other bad things that seem to happen maybe to other people or to you as well, also in the false category. Now we need to be kind of mindful here. We don't want to just use these metaphysics to block out our our experience, to block out the feelings around these hard things that seem to happen in this world. They do seem to happen here. They just haven't really happened. I mean, Humpty Dumpty seemed to break himself into all these pieces. It didn't really happen. Brokenness is impossible, but it can be mistakenly believed in. And this is what we have to look at. We have to look at our mistaken belief that we can break. We can break ourselves, we can break others. Brokenness can happen. It cannot. So we want to undo this belief in brokenness. We want to unwind the false beliefs all the way back to the beginning. And then look straight at that unreal idea. I am separate from God. Unreal idea. And just watch it vanish into nothingness. And how do we do that? We work with whatever comes up. How do you feel right now? Are you happy? Great. Do you have some tension? That's interesting. I wonder what that's about. Do you have some stress? Okay, let's look in the mind. Do you have some belief that you're less than anyone for any reason? Well, that's really good to see. All of these things are like the false cracks in the mind that we can trace back to that original seeming false idea of separation. And then we just hand it all over for healing and release. There's that song, Unbreak My Heart. Unbreak my heart. It's beautiful. Let's unbreak our mind. Let's unbreak Humpty Dumpty and put him back together again. Let's unbreak this thought of separation all the way back and let it go. All the way. And again, whatever it is right here, right now, that's not calm, that's not peaceful, this is your gift. It's your gift to see what's going on within your mind, within your being. And just let it be traced back and released. I think of Holy Spirit sometimes as a bit of like a tracker. We think of these hunters in the woods. They can track an animal. They can see the footprints, and they can see, broken branch, and they know that animal has passed this way. Well, we want to start to kind of join in that mindset of looking within very closely at our feelings, very closely at our state of being, looking to see what's going on there. We want to have that kind of attentive of an eye for detail, not in the outer world, but in our own inner landscape. We don't want to miss the sort of quiver of anxiety. We don't want to miss a little tinge of suffering. We want to say, well, that's showing me something. Maybe a belief that's not true. Maybe a memory of something that happened in the past. And just like that tracker, we want to kind of follow these little feelings or inward clues to see what is there to see. This sort of being present with can be very calm. It's like a gentle openness. What am I going to see here? You could think of like this sort of tracker catches these signs because they know sort of what the canvas looks like. They know what the forest normally shows. And so they look for these signs that are different. Oh, that footprint there is not, not always there. That marking on that tree is not always there. And against a canvas of peace and calmness of being, the signs of fear and stress stand out. This is why we practice coming into the present moment. This is why we practice quieting the mind. This is why we practice being still. Because within this still, present, calm place, anything that sort of quivers or is tight, it just is more obvious. We were talking a little bit about the idea of holding space today, and the sort of relief and this realization of not needing to do that. That really spirit is the one holding space. Holy Spirit holds our whole healing journey really safe and secure. But I have thought of this image at times, and this idea of like the more space that is held, the more healing is encouraged or allowed. And in that sense, the space that is held for us by Spirit is massive. It's not like a little dish or a little bowl or even a room. It's like infinite, an infinite sea of love and presence. So if there's something that feels like a whirlwind, a whole tsunami of feelings, even that is lovingly held in this endless space of presence. So we can open it up. We can allow the feelings to come out. We can allow our experience to be our experience. We can question anything within us, any belief in the mind that says we can't feel this isn't okay, I can't be like this. These ideas that come in and shut down what's here. Because those dynamics show us the tension. They become the pressure and the stress that we feel. But as we open them up, as we look at them, as we let Holy Spirit look at them with us, then they start to feel different. And they don't feel so heavy. They don't feel so tough. They don't feel so hard to deal with. I've been drawn to the section, the arc of safety, with this beautiful message. God asks for nothing, and his Son, like him, need ask for nothing. God asks for nothing, and his Son, like him, need ask for nothing. So even just with this one sentence, we can sort of see, where do I think I need to ask for something? Where do I think I don't have everything I need? And then see what we find when we ask that. And see if we want to keep believing that. He goes on to say, for there is no lack in his Son. An empty space, a little gap, would be a lack. So again, there is no empty space. There is no gap. There is no lack. We can open it up. If someone has something they'd like to bring forward.
Still waiting for someone else, but there we go again. Yeah, for me, I'm really working at this moment with seemingly problems in the mouth, parts really hurting when I'm chewing. And so, yeah, what comes up for me, it seems still the belief that I can suffer, because it's, if I don't feel anything now, but when I'm eating, ooh, it's terrible. So yeah, I'm thinking, what, I worked so many times with, because I experienced that feeling that I really had a belief that I need to suffer. So I work with that a lot. But then it seems now with this coming up, still believe that probably I sometimes I'm still confused how healing really works, because intellectually I can say, okay, I'm not separate from God, but do I really believe that?
Yeah, let's work with your experience. So, as you're talking, as you're sharing about this, the thought comes into the mind, what is it that you're having trouble chewing on?
At this moment, nothing really. The only thing I can say that there are still some frustrations when I join with a mighty companion, and she's always like, no, you don't need to go to the dentist, because I was pondering about it. Shall I go to the dentist? But I'm also in prayer. And she was saying, yeah, if you go to the dentist, then you make it real, and don't do that. And I was thinking, how you don't know what is the best for me. I don't know what is the best for me, but I'm in prayer.
Mhm.
So I can see frustrations can still come up. Yeah, what she's telling me, do I listen to that? Or, yeah, sometimes it's difficult for me to make that the discernment is the word, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I-
I don't want to go to the dentist of fear. I
mhm.
want to go to the dentist because it's guided.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
it's good. What you're doing, you're praying, you're asking for guidance, and you're
yeah,
trusting. Sounds like that's all you need to do. And I do think that this question, even if it doesn't bring up something, first off, I think there's something to spend some time with, because
yeah,
it may open into something you have been kind of chewing on or having trouble chewing on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but that's normally those things comes up for me, but this time it
Hmm.
didn't. I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, what is the symbol? Yeah, symbol of this, but yeah, I will sit. Yeah, perhaps I'm still frustrated with the whole course training of the mind, because I also discovered, yeah, sometimes there is still resistance. Do I really want to do this? What? It's so, yeah, because I want an immediate result, and that's not always there. So
Yeah. I think you'll find it. I think it's something a little
yeah,
deeper.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Thank you, Joni. Thank you for sharing. Hey, is there anything else here? Anything else someone wants to share? You can read a little more from this section. So for there is no lack. There is no lack in the Son of God. An empty space, a little gap would be a lack. And it is only there that he could want for something he has not. A space where God is not. A gap between the Father and the Son is not the will of either, who have promised to be one. So here he's basically talking about this separation thought and how it's impossible, but it seems like we believe it. God's promise is a promise to himself, and there is no one who could be untrue to what he wills as part of what he is. The promise that there is no gap between himself and what he is cannot be false. So yeah, so again, God's promise is that there is no gap. That's very reassuring for those of us who've been thinking that there is one. there is no gap. And again, this is not just any old promise. This is God's promise. This is not something that is ever broken. This is as certain as anything you can imagine, and even more certain. What will can come between what must be one, and in whose wholeness there can be no gap? And the answer is there is no will in truth that can come between wholeness and itself. But it needs to be seen. It needs to be seen that we believe it. Very powerful section in chapter 19, and the obstacles to peace. I think it's must be the longest section in the course because it goes on and on and on. But all the different obstacles to peace. But near the end of that section, Jesus talks about the final veil and how we swore in blood not to desert our friends, guilt and fear and death and sin. But that we will actually look up from that false vow, that false promise to the ego, and come to see there was never any cause for fear. Now that's kind of amazing. There was never any cause for fear. Some of the movies really are great, like we go through a whole movie, all these really crazy, intense things happen, and then right at the end of the movie, what happens? The character wakes up. They realize it was just a dream. Everything that's happened in the entire movie never happened. Like what have we been doing this whole time? Nothing. Literally nothing. These are some of the best movies because this is our awakening journey. We are so fixed on the story. We're so dedicated to kind of all the intricacies, what's happening, what's not happening, how should it happen different? Maybe I should have made that left turn instead of a right turn. And we get lost. We get lost in all the story details. But if we really get what this is saying, it doesn't matter how messed up the story is, no matter how messed up the experience in this world is. Because poof, it's gone when we wake up. And you could say that the only thing that's real from this dream experience is the love. That's the only thing that is kept. But everything that's not love is gone. All the fear, all the pain, all the suffering, all the misery, all the striving. So we want to be like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. We want to click our heels together and wake up. There's no place like home. She didn't even lose her dog. Her dog was still there with her. Right? Because everything that's true is still with us. Not in form. There is no form in the oneness of heaven. But the truth is still there. The love is still there. The oneness is what's there. Just like this sentence says, what will can come between what must be one, and in whose wholeness there can be no gap? He's drawing us back to the core problem, this idea that we're apart from our oneness. And he's helping us to look at it the way he does, as absurd. This thought of separation is absurd. It's unbelievable. So we can work on not believing it. People use that phrase for a lot of things that are actually quite believable. Something really dramatic happens in a movie. Oh my God, that was unbelievable. Someone pulls off an incredible stunt in a sporting event or something. Oh, that's unbelievable. No, those things are very believable. They happen. But what is unbelievable is the belief in separation. It's what he just said. What will can come between what must be one, and in whose wholeness there can be no gap. As we soak in this oneness idea, we steep ourselves in the wholeness. It just becomes preposterous to believe that something could be apart. There could be a little tiny fragment apart from the wholeness of love. Our mind has become so used to the opposite that it seems the other way around. What does the oneness of love mean? What is perfect wholeness? This world seems very real. It seems so real. How can I access those kinds of massive and beautiful experiences? Well, we've just gotten it twisted around, and we want to untwist it. And we can every time we lift another false belief up into the light. And when we see that that is the way, we actually start to get really like dedicated and enthusiastic. Oh my gosh, I want to let go of every grievance I've ever had. Yes, let's do it. Let's let go of every grievance. Why? Because I let go of that grievance yesterday and I feel so much better. I feel so good to not be carrying that around. Well, look at this pile of grievances I've been carrying around. Great, I can really work on this. I can do the same process with all of it. And I want to keep doing it with all of it. I want to clear the decks. Let's clear the decks completely. Blank slate, open heart, clean mind. That's what we're going for. That's when this dream actually can be kind of fun. I mean, it's not our goal to have a fun dream, but it is sort of a byproduct of doing this. We get to a place where our whole experience is just loving and joyful because we've cleared away all of the fear, all of the anger, all of the separation thoughts. We just become like a beacon of love because that's all we have to share. That's all that we really are. Everything else has gotten out of the way. Why are people talking about Jesus 2,000 years later? Because all he had was love. All he had was love in his heart for everyone and everything, no matter where, no matter what, with no scrap of judgment or condemnation. He was that beacon of light. And he is still. That beacon is timeless. It doesn't come and go. It doesn't start and stop. It just shines. It just calls for others to come and experience it themselves. Because that's how we experience it together. So that's a good thought. What do I need to do to clean my decks? What do I need to do? I need to throw some old heavy baggage overboard. Let's lighten the load here. And we can be very specific about it. You know, if you make a list of everyone in the world, are there some people on that list you don't like? Okay. You have your list of people to start with right there. Maybe you make a list of everyone in the world and you look at your name and you're not so sure you like that person. You got to start there then. Because again, if there's anyone you have any grievance against, even yourself, that's where the healing is. That's where the miracle is. That's where we can put that heavy burden over the edge of the ship and into the water and just be gone from it. So we'll give one more chance to swab the decks here. If anyone wants to hoist something up the mainsail. But even if you don't do it in the group, do it with Holy Spirit. Do it, do it, do it. Don't carry the heavy baggage around. The light that you are is calling for you to lift it up. And that's actually kind of a sweet symbol, you know, hoisting the sail up on a sailboat. Well, hoist your fears up, hoist your worries up, hoist your shame up. Bring it up into the light. It's never so scary when it's in the light. But then let it go. Bring it up and then let it go. Bring it up and ask for a change of mind. Bring it up and remember what you really want instead. Okay. Well, as always, it's very sweet to be with you here. Yeah, so much love. A few reminders. If you feel called, we gratefully receive donations. Our PayPal address is paypal.me/ACIMlove. We have an upcoming retreat in South Africa. So come join us there, May 21st through 26th. So yeah, we can just end by lifting our hearts up, lifting our sails to the sky and knowing that we're ready. We're ready to move on with more light, more freedom, more joy. Have a great night. Have a great day. And see you again soon. All right. Bye, everyone.